needs to be placed on this end so that we can access our piggyback into one of these ports. So we're going to open it, peeling it down just as far as we need to expose the top. That's sterile. You don't want to contaminate that. Once I uncover this blue, that part's sterile. You don't want to contaminate that. So you want to be careful here. Sterile, sterile. We roll this back and we connect that there. Now we can get rid of our packaging because this now is sterile underneath a little white clamp, or the little white cover. So we've got our secondary tubing ready to spike into the bag. Get this guy out of the way for a minute. With this type of bag, you want to undo the blue. If you were to have wiped that with your thumb by accident, you'd want to get out an alcohol swab and clean that off because that needs to be sterile. So we're going to uncap our spike, keeping it sterile. Get ready to insert it into our secondary bag. 1, 2, 3. Oh shoot, I chose the wrong one. Did I make a hole? No. We might have to edit that.
Or we just redo it, honey.
It's okay. Don't turn it off. Don't turn it off. All right, students, don't uncap the blue one. Uncap the white one for spiking. All right. Yeah, that looks right. The blue port would be where they would add medication. The white port is where you're going to put your white spike. White spike, white port. Okay, back on track. This is not contaminated. We're going up here. That goes in. Pinch again, filling it up to the top of the T, and then we prime it. There's no ports to invert for this one. We just want to roll it. Ever so slowly, and there it comes. We started to get a little bit of a drip. Okay, so now we've got our secondary primed and our primary primed. Now at this point, what you would do with a patient with primed medication is go into your patient's room. However, as I've stated a few times already, we cannot run fluid into our patient. Our patient is a mannequin. So what we're going to do is illustrate that we know how to set a rate while we've still got our medication on this pole. So what I'm going to do, I guess I can leave this on, but you need a watch with a second hand in order to do this. It will not be okay for you to just come into that med room and say, I'm going to use the clock on the wall. Bring a watch. Okay. So we're going to put our primary tubing into the garbage can just for these demo purposes. So it will flow into the garbage can. You need to use your roller clamp to set the rate, and the return demo sheet states that we're going to set this for 20 drops per minute, which means 5 drops per 15 seconds. So that's what we will expect you to do. You'll need to hold your watch near your drips and watch it come down. And if you, are we zeroing in on the second hand enough to be able to see that and the drip chamber? Okay. So I'm going to begin. Now what might happen first is I may go too fast, and then I may go too slow, and then I may zero right in on it. So we're going to take a look. It will come shortly. Here comes a drip. And I get a good feel for how that's dripping, and I look at my second hand. Going to start at the 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm coming back on it just a little bit. 1, 2. Now I'm going too slow. So I've got to come back a little bit to where I was. Hopefully starting at the 5. 1, about right. 5. So you see, that might take you a full minute or a little longer to get it to exactly where you want it to be. So you want to get it to where it drops 5 times in 15 seconds. Okay, so we've got our primary running at the correct rate. Our secondary, we want to run at 40 drops per minute, which is 10 drops every 15 seconds. So what we need to do with that is, we will have explained this in class, but the system that's hanging the highest is the system that's going to run. So that's why they provide you with this hanger, so that you can hang your primary bag lower. We need to clamp this closed. We'll be using that, oops, I opened it. Clamp it closed. We need to take an alcohol swab and swab the port that's above the roller clamp. It's not okay to go to these lower ones. You want to be above this roller clamp because this roller clamp is going to be controlling the drip rate. So, swabbing the port. And then we're going to take we've still got our secondary clamped. We're going to take the cap off of our alligator clamp and we're going to plug it into this port. And then what we need to do, we've still got our primary clamped. We're going to open wide at the secondary and watch. Nothing will run. Maybe a drip. Look at that. Nothing's running because this system is connected into the primary system, which is clamped, so it's not going to run. So we're going to regulate the secondary while using the primary roller clamp because this one's wide open. So now, again, with the watch in place, you're going to count, you're going to let 10 drops per minute fall. 10 drops per 15 seconds fall. In the end, it will be 40 per minute. You're going to regulate this with the primary. Here it comes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Going a little fast. Let's back it off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You need to open it up a little bit more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Love that. Okay, it might take you a minute. Practice this at home. That's why you have supplies in your bag. Please practice at home because you need to be in and out in a half hour. So this is going to run. You've illustrated now that you know how to prime your primary, set the drip rate. Prime your secondary, and set the drip rate. And so now at this point, with your system just running into the garbage bag, it's time for you to go into the room and illustrate that you know how to sterilely trade tubing. If this were a real patient, we would be carrying this system with us into the room, but we are not. We're just going to illustrate that we know what to do. So, before I forget, I should have mentioned, you would date and time your label and put it on your tubing. It needs to be changed on Thursday. You would take your strip. It won't work on a 500cc bag. You could use a piece of tape. And you will have had this explained in class, but you'll put your timing strip on your primary bag.